What's up, guys? Welcome to the Resellers Podcast. In today's episode, we talk about building real wealth through eBay. So as text says, there's no better way to multiply your money than reselling on eBay, because you can buy something today and sell it for tomorrow, reinvest that profit over and over again, and turn it into other assets like real estate or other businesses. It's really important that you do that and start, because think of your eBay business as something you're going to do over the next 10 years and build real wealth from. So this episode's over an hour long. As you guys know, all the full length episodes are ad free on patreon.com/the Resellers Podcast. We now have over 500 people supporting the podcast. So we truly appreciate you guys. At the $35 level, you also get the Facebook group, which we do coaching. We just had Ashley Hustle at Home Mom come on as a coach. So each month, the goal is to add on at least one new coach at no additional cost to you, so you guys can get one-on-one help in building your online business. And again, it's been a labor of love. There's now over 200 people in the group, and it's really awesome getting these ideas from you guys. So we appreciate you. Smash the like button. Consider subscribing to our podcast. It's also on iTunes under the Resellers Podcast, and we would appreciate a 5-star review over there as well. So let's get straight into the episode, guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you inside. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Resellers Podcast with tech and sports and daily refinement. Today, we want to talk about building wealth through eBay. We feel like a lot of people do not cover these topics, so we're excited for you guys to be here. In the beginning, when you start on eBay, nobody knows you. You have no money. You have no skills. So you got to start from somewhere. And, let's use the example with UTech to start. The basic advice in the beginning is partner with somebody already doing well. Jump on the train of positive momentum.
Yeah, in a conventional business, it's a lot easier to do that. But when you work for yourself, you're not going to know resellers right off the bat. So it's a little more tricky, a little more difficult to that. Probably one of the, almost to a deficit is like how I'm such a lone wolf and I just want to do everything by myself. For the longest time, I chose to stay underneath the radar when I was buying, especially at the flea market, where if I did partner up with, storage guys or people that had inventory and let them know what I'm doing, what I'm about, my money is good, I probably could have scaled much, much quicker. But, since I wanted to stay under the radar, maybe a little bit too bashful to tell them that I am a reseller, that I am going to sell this stuff, probably did cost me a lot of money. So, it doesn't hurt if people have product to just be honest and let them know what you're going to do. And, that could be like you're saying, you can saddle up with those guys and, it could take you a long way.
And the saying goes, make rich people richer and they will listen to you. I think pretty much anybody who's trying to earn money will listen to someone that will help them make more money. But that's not what we see people doing when they approach people for deals.
Yeah, if you can make somebody more money or if you can make somebody's life easier, then they have every incentive to do business with you and do work with you. If, someone asks me a bunch of questions and, they're not providing any value, then there's not much incentive to help or to like go out of the way or to, make that person's life easier. But if you come in from the start trying to add value, either monetarily or by making their life easier, they'll be much more inclined to help you. So, a lot of the times it is all about the approach.
I think that's important. If you're walking into Walmart and you're getting started by selling stuff in the clearance section and you develop a relationship with the manager, if you start with, I'm looking for this, they're just going to kick you out. That's how a lot of people start. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you walk in and say, hey, give me all of your stuff that's the cheapest that I can sell for the most money, the easiest, like nobody's going to work with you. You're never going to find somebody, whether it be at Walmart, whether it be a wholesale supplier, whether it be a storage unit guy at the flea market. Nobody is going to sell you their best stuff for the cheapest price so you can make all the money. Like, once my name got out locally that, I was the guy to sell the stuff to, with the storage unit guys, with the flea market, even at thrift stores. Once I walked in and they knew I was going to spend $200, $300, $400, $500, like the red carpet rolls out no matter who the supplier is. And, again, just make yourself known. As long as your money is good and as long as your word is good, then, you're making their life easier. And again, they will make your life easier.
And this is important in the beginning because everyone starts at zero. Nobody knows you. So
Mhm.
if you're known for something, that should be the goal. If you say, I'm a reseller, people might think that you're unemployed or you're in between jobs. If you tell people, I'm in the clothing category, or I'm in the electronics category, I'm looking for this specific thing, they can actually help you. They want to help you because relationships and money starts when you're solving other people's problems.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've just started diving into the flea market real heavy.
Hmm.
And now, I don't know, you've been going for a couple months, but as soon as you walk up, you have those connections and they already have the clothing waiting for you because
Hmm.
you've already presented yourself as a professional. Again, your money is good. That's the most important part. You can't tell people, hey, hold me down 500 pieces. I guarantee I'm going to buy it. And then when next week comes around, you go, hey, man, I only have $87. Sorry, I can't do the deal. Like nobody's going to hold stuff for you. So your money has to be just as good as your word. So again, you presented yourself in a professional manner. And now you've made all of these connections at the flea market. All of these people are sourcing for you. You go one day a week, you pick out all the good stuff, and then you go on about your day.
And that's important. When you're looking to develop a relationship, you have to take stuff that they don't want. This is important because the easy stuff, they don't need you. And I think this is where a lot of resellers get into trouble because in reselling, there's a lot of doing things that you don't really want to do. Obviously, I would love to sell all brand new items, order them directly from the manufacturer. I'm the only one allowed to sell it. eBay, I'm the only seller allowed on eBay, but none of those conditions are ever met. There's always things you do not want that you just deal with because that's part of the game.
Yeah, and that's the trade-off of having the luxury of having somebody go out and source for you and then turn around and sell it to you rather than you physically going out all around town hand picking every single item. If you hand pick every single item, then what we just said doesn't apply. But it's very, very difficult to drive all around town 7 days a week and truly scale your business because the biggest time suck in this, aside from listing, is going to be outsourcing. And probably a lot of people have done it. They spend 2, 3, 4, 5 hours sourcing all day. They come home too tired to list, and you really didn't accomplish much that day in terms of eBay. You might have got a bunch of cool stuff, but as far as eBay is concerned, you got zero done. So if you are trying to scale the fastest, the most efficient way, you are going to have to start making those connections where you can buy inventory in bulk. And with that, you don't always have the opportunity to, cherry pick all the great stuff. Some of the stuff that comes with it may not be what you want, but you have to have the processes set up where you can deal with $1,000 shirt just the same that you could deal with a $15 shirt.
And so we're gonna give you a 3-step eBay wealth creation plan and take, solstice in the fact that if you do these 3 things, you're gonna put yourself into a really good position. And the first part of it doesn't even cost money, which is you need to reinvest into yourself. And a lot of that is just education in the beginning. You just need to learn how to sell something to begin with, basic sales.
Definitely, whether it be on YouTube, whether it be on the new TRP app for eBay, that's going to give you sales history for any kind of category. Whether it be, if you want to go out and buy somebody's guide, whatever it needs to be. It doesn't need to be a purchase. Just reinvesting the time into learning the craft, learning the category. That's going to be the biggest investment that you can make.
When I first started, I was trying to figure out what to sell. I met this gentleman named Jake, and he was a big retail arbitrage guy. Go to Marshalls, Ross, and I did not know how to do that. So I found him locally in one of the eBay groups, and I said, "Hey, can I take you to breakfast tomorrow? And then can you show me how to do it? Can I just follow you for a day? I don't know how this works." So he said, "Sure." So we went together. I bought him some pancakes, and man, for the price of pancakes, I learned exactly how to do that. He showed me these are the apps that you use. Download the Raise app, download the gift card grandma. This is how you determine whether this is worth it. Go onto the eBay and Amazon app and scan it and see like, hey, the Amazon app's not going to allow you to sell certain styles. Some styles are available. Like, for example, even if you're ungated in Under Armour, you still can't sell the current season. There are rules that you wouldn't know unless you actually get in there. And if someone can just show you how to do it, if you're trying to learn FBA and you have one friend that comes over and helps you put a shipment together, you just skipped 90% of people who are trying to figure it out themselves.
Yeah, definitely. Like if someone came over to my place and I showed them A to Z what I do, they would probably be an eBay professional after one day. No doubt in my mind.
Yeah, you have to just look at how people operate. And the education part is also different than watching somebody do it.
Hmm.
So it's the most conventional thing in the world to work at a 9 to 5 business from when you're 23 years old until you're 50. And then you start that exact same business at 50 years old. You have 27 years of experience and a little cash saved up. That person's going to be successful. That's traditional entrepreneurship.
Yeah, no doubt. And a lot of people that, are doing this now, they don't have that opportunity of traditional. A lot of things that are happening now are not traditional. A lot of
Mhm.
people have been thrown into this for one reason or another, whether it be COVID, whether it be lost their job, whether it be you got a great degree, a 4-year university degree, and now you can't find a job. So a lot of the things that we do are not traditional, and we're kind of paving our own way and kind of really learning as we go every single day. So like it definitely works. You can definitely build a business around it, but it's not never going to be overnight.
So Jake, when he taught me the retail arbitrage game, he also taught me that in California, traffic is super heavy. So you have to be careful when you're sourcing. You have to know traffic patterns. And he was saying you can't just go to every Ross because even though it's 2 miles away, it'll take you 30 minutes. You've got to go to Ross and then you have to go thrifting in between. You have to go to these little pockets in the strip mall and figure out your best route of attack. You can only do one region per day, start to organize it. And then when he was showing me thrifting, I couldn't believe it. The speed of looking through the racks, the okay, you fill up your cart, and then before you leave, you look through all of it again in the most well lit place. You learn how to describe defects. You learn that certain categories do well in certain sizes. So in the beginning, you don't know anything. And then as you get more profits, you can actually add on more categories. You mentioned this when you talked about going store to store. You hit up more categories, but you didn't add them all at the same time.
I think, from the jump, I was kind of the category that I wanted to do was just clothing
Mm.
in general. So, for me, a t-shirt is going to sell the same as a polo shirt. A polo shirt will sell the same
Hmm.
as a jacket. So when I started, I was just men's clothing was the category altogether. I didn't start with like football jerseys and then say, okay, let me learn jacket. But a lot of people, that's how they start. They go, okay, I only want to sell single stitch vintage t. And then after they do that for a while and maybe, those become out of style, for example, or they become harder to find, the competition is tougher. And they say, okay, I got to expand and go into different things. So, you know, as many little fingers as you can add on to the business, the better off you will be. The more broader your skill set, the way better off you can be. Because maybe that day they don't have single stitch vintage shirts there, but they might have, 15 Patagonia jackets that I walk right back out the door.
Another thing that I noticed with your store is you sell hats as well. So hats are different. They're shipped differently. They are
Mm-hmm.
a different weight. Each time you learn something new, your arsenal of weapons grows. You learn how to ship different sizes, how to protect things. If you get dropped into a category for some reason, eBay says, you know what, you can't sell clothing anymore. It's not like those skills go away. You can all those same rules apply to a different category.
Yeah, 100%. All those skills they transfer over, but the biggest skill would be the Rolodex in your head that we talk about of brands. So even if they said, "Hey, you can't sell clothing anymore and now you have to sell toasters," just developing that Rolodex of brands be of the utmost importance. And like the quicker you can develop the Rolodex of brands that work for you, because not every brand's going to work for you. Like sometimes people get these crazy prices for brands that I have them and they sit forever. So like when you develop your own personal Rolodex of brands that work for you, no matter what the category is, that's when, you know, you really become dangerous, because then you don't have to do any research at the thrift. You don't have to do any research when you're listing, because you already have the Rolodex. You know what you could buy it for, you know what you could sell it for, and then you can just list a tremendous amount more items.
And this is the skill that you develop depending on where you live. If you live in an area where thrifting is not as abundant, let's say there's only 2 thrift stores in your whole city, you need to be more diversified. As an example, I listened to a reseller say, if you're going to sell coffee makers, you need to be aware of mold. You know, if you're selling clothing, it may be a couple of months is fine before you sell it, but not a coffee maker. If it's been wet before, you need to know how to test these things. Now, she lives in an area where there's not enough of any categories. She had to learn all these different categories. But when you hear that, you be careful when, you know, a lot of coffee makers pops up at a local auction. You don't just go all in, because that inventory could be dead. You got to be careful and learn about categories that can break too.
Yeah, and there's only one way to learn that lesson right there, and that's to buy a coffee machine with mold in it, and you say, well, that was an expensive lesson and I can't do that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really and truly the art of the business of just, you know, every single business, the more you can learn by doing, the better off you're going to be.
I also want to point out that very few people are excellent at their category. Today, I was talking to a cell phone seller. He sells used cell phones. And he said that most of his competition only uses the stock photo. How could you possibly sell a used phone with no actual photo of it?
Yeah, very difficult. And that's what Monica, she talked about. You know, we got to have those separators. So just taking the extra step of actually taking a photo of the physical item, I'm going to buy from that guy every single time before I have to guess on a stock photo. When they have, you know, steps in the description that says this is A1, this is A6, A7 means it has a scratch over here, A8 means it has a scratch over there. I'm just going to buy the one with the photos rather than going by some, you know, arbitrary scale that this guy made up because he's too lazy to take pictures.
Exactly. And when you look at the different sellers, I would say the biggest sellers in the world usually do have one listing per item. Even if they have 20 iPhone 8s, they're going to list everyone different because everyone's different.
It's better that way also, because now you have 20 hooks in the pond, as opposed to having one listing, quantity 20. I believe if they're all different, you throw them up individual listings, because now you have 20 different search results. And I'd rather have 20 different search results on page 1 than the number 1 search result on page 1.
It's really important to understand that these skills that we're talking about with sourcing also translate to photography, your title, your description, your shipping policies. You can make yourself stand out. If you're selling iPhones, you kind of have to pull every trick in the book because it's very competitive.
Mm-hmm. You're going to do promoted listings. You're going to do pay per click when they come up. You're going to make the title bold. You're going to be 1 penny cheaper than the next guy, and then the next guy is going to be 1 penny cheaper than you. Like, that is a cutthroat game right there. And you really have to be on top of the ball, because here's the difference. Like, when you're selling vintage clothes, I might be the only person on eBay with the mosquito head Jamie Foxx. I might be the only one. I have no competition. Or there might be 2, but that one is slightly different. Still no competition. But when you're dealing with 40,000 iPhone 12s, like, your competition is 40,000. My competition is 1 on a vintage t-shirt. So I don't have to do a bold title. I don't have to promote that listing. I don't have to put a subtitle. You know, the item is there. If you want it, cool. You don't have anybody else to go to. So if you are selling in categories that are, you know, SKU based for the most part, you got to really be on top of your game to optimize the listing.
So I looked at the cell phone seller store, and in the picture, it had the charger and it had a number. And in the condition description, it said, please review photos 1 through 8 for condition, and make sure, we answer questions immediately. So that's very different, because when you're shopping for a phone, you're going to see most people just use stock photos. Somebody
Yeah.
takes the time. Also, putting the charger in the picture I had never seen before. And he was like, because people always ask, does it come with the charger? Does it come with the manual? If there's a manual, he puts that in the picture. Video game sellers are good at this too. This, the more things that are involved with it that are in the photo, you stand out.
And the more money you can get. So if you have a memory card, if you have even an OEM charger, is going to separate you from someone who has a third party charger, and you can probably get more money because you have OEM. But like for the video games, if you have the original box, if you have a case, if you have a manual, you're going to command so much higher than just the guy who just has the game.
One more thought on a description. When the longer you do this, you actually have a more simple description. It is
Yeah.
lazy to just copy and paste from the manufacturer's site onto the eBay. Nobody can read 10 paragraphs of information on the, nor do they want to. They will not read it and they don't want to.
Yeah, 100%. I know, like when I first started, I felt like I had to sell my item. I had to tell you how perfect it was, how cool it was, how rare it was, how special it was. I had to oversell you on the item. That's what I thought when I first started, and I had a bunch of bullet points, a bunch of, how great the item is. Or you come across these people who, on the flip side, think everyone is going to scam, have to like sign a contract at the bottom because this guy needs payment within 12 minutes. There's absolutely no reasons. You have to send photos if we messed up, this and that. I got screwed before, so we can't do this. Like, as you do it for longer, like you don't have to worry about that stuff. It's in very good use condition. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. If you want the item, go ahead and purchase it. If you have an issue, I'm more than welcome to take it back. And that's pretty much all your listing has to say.
So once you've reinvested into yourself, you've added on all these skills, you're adding on more categories. Now, this is the part that sometimes people take their foot off the gas and they don't reinvest back into the business. So let's start with, let's say you have a couple of good sales and you made $100 profit your first couple of weeks. A lot of people buy something nice for themselves, go out for a nice dinner, but you're missing a huge opportunity when you do that.
Huge opportunity for me. If I make a couple $100 when I just start, I'm running right back to the thrift store and I'm going to buy, $25 items for every $100 I make. Go ahead and sell those for 15 or $20 each and just keep the money rolling and rolling and rolling. If you go out and buy Yeezys, you go out and buy a steak dinner, like you're going to look cool, but then your business is going to suffer. So, the longer you can keep the money into the business, the further you will go. And, you don't have issues as long as the money stays in the business. I mean, how many times before we switch to managed payments, these people, they sell a bunch of stuff and then they go, hey, I got a big problem. It's the 15th of the next month. And now I have $286 of eBay fees I have to pay now, but I don't have the money.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now you got a big problem. So, you can't blow the money. You have to reinvest it into the business. That goes for any business if you want it to grow.
So, one of the biggest examples is Elon Musk. And, he sold PayPal and made a huge profit. But what did he do with it?
Yeah, he sold PayPal for something like $180 million. Without Elon Musk, there may not be no eBay because he was the one who did PayPal.
I know.
So he invested in 3 different companies after that, and then he literally had to borrow money to pay rent. So for a guy like Elon Musk, he's 100% all in. Everything he's doing now, he probably has the most optimistic goals than anyone on the face of the earth. Like that guy's trying to get everybody to Mars. So like, it kind of puts you in perspective of where we are in the grand scheme of things, where this guy every minute of the day, like Tesla is not his end all be all. That's just another stepping stone to go to Mars. Like that's how far ahead that guy is, man.
I mean, you listen to Zuckerberg, you listen to Elon Musk talk about their days and they're simplifying. They rent, they don't buy anything. They just keep their mental overhead so low so they can go all in. And, when you ask Elon what he does, like when Joe Rogan was asking him on the podcast what he does, he's like, I'm out on the floor inventing things to make them, I'm essentially an engineer. I'm in there figuring out what problems need to be fixed. And then we continue. And if there's a problem, a couple of his businesses were like 2 days from bankruptcy. And in the last 2 days, he just figured out how to raise the money to continue. He's a problem solver. And everyone around you gets into that mode. And we need more problem solvers because right now we're in a weird situation where the economy is kind of propped up. We need people to start solving problems so that they're generating value in the economy.
Yeah, definitely. And also at the end of the day, like nobody is going to solve your problems. So if you are in a situation where, COVID did, put you out of business, COVID did cost you your job, like only so long can the government continue to solve the problem of, getting the rent paid and whatnot. So like, if people do get the stimulus check, I would suggest to and all of that money into inventory and, use that as like a free stepping stone to grow the business. So, like you said, when your business grows to a certain point, because people ask me all the time and they go, man, you have to be going crazy right now, listing 250 per day. Like, when do you sleep? How do you do this? To be 100% totally honest with you, ever since COVID shut everything down, it kind of made me reevaluate a lot of things. And, I was able to double the business during that time. And right now is the most peaceful I've ever had in my entire life. I work the least amount, and my eBay business was up 58% last year. I wake up at 6, I'm done by 4. I work a couple hours on the weekends, and that's it. And 100% stress free, but it took a long time and maybe stressful times to get there. But now the business is big enough where I am done at 4 o'clock and we're doing double the amount of work. So, just like those guys who are running huge companies, they're so streamlined where they only have to worry about the most important things. And that's where I'm at right now. I only have to worry about the most important things. Everything else is getting handled. And, I get 8 or 9 hours of sleep per night. Like, this is beautiful right now.
You are reinvesting a lot of it into your business as well. So I feel like when you buy shelves, when you buy racks, when you get a new space, when you get equipment, think about if it makes your business faster or more efficient. Don't just randomly buy things because that initial hit is kind of expensive. It's like almost when you're just starting, it's almost like spend every dime on more inventory in the beginning. But at a certain point, you don't have enough space. You might need an external space. Maybe your pictures aren't good enough, but that's like way down the road.
Yeah, and with every kind of incremental level up, there's always going to present some sort of issues. But with any kind of growth, there's going to be bottlenecks. So, like you said, you go out and get a whole bunch of stuff. We all start the same way. Our inventory system is just pile in the corner, and then it becomes bins in the corner. Then it becomes takes over our whole house. Then it becomes, let me get a little storage unit, then a warehouse, then a bigger warehouse. Like, it's all the same. And, when you do buy more inventory, if you're not listing it, that's a humongous problem. If you are listing it, then the bottleneck is storage. And then once you have the storage situation, hopefully your bottleneck is I'm selling too many items. Now I need to get the shipping figured out. So, reinvest in your business properly and smartly, because if you do make bad investments, let's say you got a warehouse that's way too big for your business because you're shoveling out so much money in rent. So like, you have to be very, very smart with how you reinvest into the business.
So, and I also want to point out something that's very interesting. As you grow, there's not less problems. There's way more problems when you grow, but you are also way better.
Yeah.
Something that takes you an hour to resolve now only takes you 30 seconds to resolve because you've already experienced it. You're better. You can show somebody how to do it. If you can't find an item the first time, it's different than you now have 4 redundancies when you can't find an item, and you can revert to A, B, C, or D, and A, B, C, or D will turn up the item.
Yeah, I think the biggest part of experience helping you go faster and move along is customer service. Because when we start, we always think everyone's trying to scam us. You want to argue with people. You want to, state your case on how this item wasn't like that when you get out. But now, no problem. Send it back. 30-day free returns. Takes me 5 seconds to deal with customer complaints, when before I would hold a grudge for 3 days and it would just be a cloud hanging over me. But so like, it can't ever be personal. Just it's part of business. People have the right to return stuff. People have the right to complain. And most times when people complain, it's something that we did wrong. And instead of saying everyone's out to screw us, we need to take that as a learning opportunity on what we can do better so that we don't have so many customers complaining.
When Toyota came and basically redid the NUMMI plant here in the States, when American companies started to get better, when they were here coaching American companies, they were like, no problem is a problem. You bring a problem to us every day so we can make this company better. It's easy to get complacent and be like, the customers are the problem. They keep returning my items. What if you're the problem? If you can make your descriptions tighter, you can give them a better experience, let them know, hey, compare this garment to a garment you already have. That's if you're doing extra and being that extra person, and if you have the attitude that it's always your problem, and that you have to realize sometimes customers don't ask a question. They just move on to the next listing. And you don't even know that person didn't buy because they don't want to ask you for measurements. They're lazy. There's 10 other people with the exact same item.
With measurements. So,
With measurements.
If you're getting way too many returns because the item doesn't fit and you're not posting measurements, you got to post the measurements. If you're getting way too many returns because you sell video games, but you don't test them, you got to start testing them. We have to take the extra step because at the end of the day, we're all supposed to be professionals. We can't just run around town and buy a bunch of stuff and expect it to sell online just because we went out and found it. So, if you're selling video games, do the due diligence of testing them rather than just putting it out to the customer and say, if it doesn't work, they can return it, because that's a bad buyer experience. So now that customer bought something on eBay, they have to send it back. eBay did research a few years ago where buyers who left a negative feedback were overwhelmingly not returning to the website when their last feedback was a negative feedback. Mm-hmm. So it's all of our responsibility to do our due diligence in our category and present the customer and deliver to the customer the very best item. Because if not, then the platform's going to die. There's other platforms out there. This isn't the 90s where eBay is the end all be all. So, we always have to take the extra step and present the customer the item professionally and get it to them professionally.
When you keep reinvesting into your business as well, over time, you could get to the point where you fire yourself out of the business. If you've done so well, my old boss, he didn't take a vacation for like 10 or 15 years. Then all of a sudden he had to go. And when he left for 2 weeks and came back, the business actually grew while he was gone. They were like, you've done such a good job. Everyone here knows exactly what they're doing. Not only did the business not fail when you left, it actually grew itself because we all have that same mentality as you. And that's like that's when everyone is on the same mindset of let's make this better.
Yeah, definitely. Like every business that I've started, I've eventually fired myself.
If you'd like to continue listening, our podcast is available in full length at patreon.com/theresellerspodcast. You can check out our weekly coaching and also our Facebook group at the same link. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. And the full episode is a little over an hour long, so we hope to see you guys in the Patreon. We appreciate your time. See you guys next time. Make progress daily.